Hey GED students, Ashley on Facebook is struggling with some of these funky looking inequalities. So let's take a look at this. Directions are solve. So I'm supposed to get the letter alone. So whether this is an inequality, which it is, or an equation, the basic rules of solving are the same. Basic rules of solving are the same, and those are that we should first simplify. I would do any simplifying I could do on the left and right hand side. This isn't really a rule so much as a wisdom principle. This will make your life easier if you do this. And then once you're done simplifying, you should make sure. I actually don't want to talk about the second step that I usually talk about because it doesn't come up in this problem. It's just a non-issue here. This is a simpler problem than that. But basically we'd get the letters to the same side if we have to. We could move terms to get, like this one, it's a moot point. That's why I don't want to talk about it, because you can see I only have an X on one side of this inequality, not both. So I don't need to do number 2. But the third step is work to get the letter alone. That's when we start solving. We start getting the letter alone on its side of the, in this case, inequality symbol. Okay, so let's do this. First thing I want to do is simplify. Do any straightforward math on the left or right hand side that I know how to do. It's basically like obeying the symbols. First thing I see on the left hand side, there's math I know how to do. I know what 3 plus 9 is. I'll simplify that. I get 12. This will not affect the inequality symbol at all. It will just remain the same. I also see simplifying I know how to do on the right hand side. Whoops. On the right hand side, I know how to do this multiplication. I know how to multiply 4 times terms inside of a parentheses. You basically just pass it out. That's known as the distributive property. If you don't know about that, go check out the video on that. It's a prerequisite skill for this. So 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times positive 7 is positive 28. Or another way to think about it, if I added 7 4 times, I would have added a total of 28. Great, so now I simplified both my left and right hand sides. There's no more work that I know how to do forwards. It's time to start solving, time to start getting the letter alone. Now do remember, of course, even though when you're simplifying, you work the order of operations, first groupings, then exponents, then multiplication and division, then addition and subtraction. That's when you're simplifying. When you're solving, you work it backwards. That means you move away anything that's adding or subtracting first. So I see something that's adding with x. 28 is adding with x. I am going to get rid of adding 28 by doing the opposite, subtracting 28. Now, the rule of solving is I can do whatever I want as long as I do it to both sides. So I jump on the other side of my inequality sign and I subtract 28 over there too. Now, let's see, after making changes to the left and right hand side, what my inequality will look like now. Now 12 minus 28, that's minus. Even if you're not very good at subtracting with positive and negative numbers, you could totally do in your TI. If you had this on the GED, you would have your calculator. So 12 minus 28 is negative 16. Of course it's negative. I spent more than I had, guys. I only had 12 bucks. I spent 28. I'm in the hole. Okay. And then on the right hand side, adding 28 and subtracting 28 cancel so that I have 4x. Now I'm almost done. My letter is almost alone, x here, but he has that 4 hanging out with him, so I've got to get rid of that 4. Now since that 4 is all shoved up against x, he's a multiplier, so I'll do the opposite of multiply. I'll divide by 4. Now the rule of solving is you can do whatever you want as long as you do it to both sides, and so I'm going to write divided by 4 there as well. And now let's take a look at what happens. Multiplying and dividing by 4 cancel so that my x really is alone. Now I divided by a positive number, not a negative number, so don't worry about my inequality symbol flipping. Don't be the student who mixed that up. Nothing is going to happen here. This inequality symbol remains the same always unless you multiply or divide by a negative number. Multiply or divide by a negative number. So none of that went on, so nothing is affected here. And I get this statement. I get negative 4 is greater than x. Now, I have an issue with the way this is written. It's not wrong. It's just not normal. Most mathematicians start with the letter X and then say its relationship to the number. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying -4 is greater than X. It's just that you guys get mixed up. So I'm going to relate this to a really important life concept. Let's talk about, age. Okay, so I have an older sister. So if I started with my older sister, I would say my older sister, well, her age is greater than mine. Her age is greater than my age. Hope that makes sense. But let's think about what would happen if I flipped the order of me and my sister. What if I started with my age? Well, if she's my older sister, my age would actually be less than her age. See what happens when I flip the order of the two things I'm comparing, the symbol flips. So the same thing is going to happen here. If I want to write X on the left-hand side and talk about X first, if -4 is greater than X, then X must be less than -4. This is how your solution would more likely look on the GED, which tends to be multiple choice on problems like this. And then it would be much easier to graph if I had the letter on the left-hand side. Again, this is a strictly less than sign, no equal underneath, so I'm going to put an open dot, meaning I'm going to get real close to -4, but not actually be equal to -4. I want to be less than -4, so I'm going to go shade off in the less than direction if they ask me to graph this one, and shade in that arrow there. And you can see with the letter on the left, the arrow points in the same direction as I shade on my number line, and so that's super helpful. So anyway, this is how your answer is more likely going to look, even though this isn't wrong per se, just not the normal way to write this. All right, if you have any questions about this or any other GED math topic, be sure to drop it on the comments and I'll do my best to answer it.